If you love the Jeep Wrangler, but you want a little more utility and some towing capability, but still the fun lifestyle aspect of it, the Jeep Gladiator is for you. Today we're going to take a full detailed look at all the options on this Gladiator, the inside, take it for a test drive, and I'm going to show you why this is an excellent getaway vacation vehicle. Real quick, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nolan. I do full reviews like this every single week, but also if you want to see the Jeep Wrangler, I had that one last year, check it out in the description below. But let's go ahead and jump into this one. So one of the biggest draws to the Gladiator, and the Jeep Wrangler as well, but the Gladiator is, it can be just like the Wrangler. You can take the doors off, you can take the roof off. There's several different roofs, and this is the 3-panel roof, and this is so easy to take off. I have the panel sitting on the tonneau cover back there because it's so lightweight, but it's just a big draw. There's different covers, take the doors off, take the tops off, roll it back, whatever you have. It's really cool that you can do that with a truck here. It's like a convertible and a 4x4 and a truck in one. And you can even get these doors with called dual doors. It's basically like a half door with different upper parts of it. So you can have it kind of look like the old Jeeps where there's just a door and nothing right here. All right, y'all, let's take a look at the exterior details here. This is the Texas Trail model, but all the features and options on here you can get on other Gladiators as well. This is just loaded out as the Texas Trail Edition based off of the Sport model, the base Sport. So there's a lot of optional features. One of them being the LED headlights and fog lights up here. Otherwise, they'd be halogen on the base model, but you've got the LED lighting package here. So you've got accent lighting, fog lights, and LED headlights. You'll also see the typical Jeep bumper. We have these tow hooks, recovery hooks there. I like the accent lighting. You even have the hood, you know, you lift up with the clamps there, which is pretty cool. Just like a Jeep in the front here, just like the Jeep Wrangler, I should say, in the front. Another thing to note is that this has the optional Corning Gorilla Glass. There's a little icon in there, but unfortunately I got a rock chip here and it spread all the way across. But it should be a stronger glass in general than most of the Gladiators. This particular Gladiator is dressed with the Firecracker Red, and I showed you the top, but with the Firecracker Red you've got black mirrors, black doors. We even get these black wheels here on this one. This one has the body color fenders. You won't always have body color, the base Sport does not, but black wheels, and these are 32-inch mud terrain tires. So these are pretty knobby tires. This one comes with side steps here. They kind of just get in the way. I would remove them. You can get rock sliders with an assist step optional if you want to though. And dimensionally, the Gladiator is 218 inches long. So depending on how you're gonna compare it to other mid-size type of trucks, it's gonna have 10 to 11.5 inches of ground clearance. So ground clearance is gonna be great. This is also gonna come standard with front and rear Dana branded axles and even heavy duty Dana axles as well. And you're gonna get skid plates for the fuel tank, transfer case, and even optional transmission skid plate here as well. To equip your Gladiator even a little more off-road oriented, you can even get an optional track lock anti-spin mechanical rear differential. Then incandescent taillights will be standard, but our model gets these LED taillights. So you've got the iconic taillight, the rectangular light, just like on other Jeeps or the Jeep Wrangler. Same bumper with some recovery hooks or with a recovery hook back here. What do you think of the rear end? And then underneath you're gonna get a full-size spare tire standard. Now as we move to the cargo area back here, this is a lockable tailgate and it's a soft, damp opening tailgate as well. This has the optional spray-in bed liner. Of course, you can get that on any truck. You still have the capability to stack things up and make it 4 feet wide between the wheel wells. Well, to be able to fit stuff, it is not quite 4 feet wide between those wheel wells, so keep that in mind. You've got LED lighting on both sides, built-in hooks and tie downs on both sides. You can get the trail rail system to where you have movable tie downs and even a 115 volt plug back here as an option. We don't have that, but it's still a fairly usable bed considering it's a mid-sized truck. Even this tonneau cover, you can get a hard top, you can get a soft top roll up like that. So that's an option too. And payload varies quite a bit depending on the trim and configuration, from like 1,100 pounds to 1,700 pounds. So look in the description below for a box from Jeep where you can look at that and the towing numbers too. And before we get inside, first of all, just look at these exterior hinges, these exposed bolts and hinges. I think that's really cool. It's definitely retro Jeep. And when you open and close this door, it's just like, it just like sucks it in and it's just like a tank. It just gives you a really cool, authentic feel in here. But These are actually optional seats. So as you see, Texas Trail branding, these leather seats are not standard on the base model, but you can get them as an option on different trim levels here. And these seats are actually pretty comfortable. They're not power adjustable. They're going to be manual adjustable standard, but this big round dial is actually lumbar support. And you've got height adjustment, and then you recline with this strap right here. So they've got all the adjustments that you need, and they're comfortable enough for me. And the leather and bolstering and cushion is actually not too bad either. The only thing with these steps here, it just makes for a really wide entry. I would just completely get rid of these if they were mine. So, but it's a pretty tight cabin. With mobility issues, you have grab handles on both sides. And then I'm 5'9". I've got this seat kind of middle of the way up and down, and there's still plenty of headroom. I mean, you could be pretty tall and probably fit in here pretty good because this is elevated up here, and we even have the optional headliner in these panels. This is an option to help with a little bit of sound suppression and temperature control. I think the biggest con of being in here, I'm not a real big guy. I kind of have fat legs, but this door and the console, there's just not a lot of space right here, so it can feel cramped pretty easily. And heated seats are not standard. If you want to get heated seats, you have to get the cold weather group. This one is still $51,000 and doesn't have the cold weather group, so we don't have heated seats or heated steering wheel, even though you can get those. Now coming to the back door, first of all, since the doors can come off, just like the front, you don't really have a big door, it's lightweight, but there is still a net for storage. And before I sit in here, let me show you real quick. Under both seats, it's a 60-40 split. You've got under seat storage. This is excellent. This is actually pretty big. I mean, you can have the seats down and still have some items back here, enough space with that. You can even get these with lockable storage. So lockable storage is an option too, so it can stay secure and stay in place. Aside from that, you can fold this down too. So you have a flat bottom, both sides can fold down, so you have a nice flat area to stack some stuff. And there's even extra little storage space behind here with a net. And for those of you with kids, I've got a car seat, rear-facing car seat with an extender back here. It's not ideal. I don't fit with it behind myself at 5'9", but I mean, you could make it work, and it has some easy anchors down here. Once I'm back here, there's a grab handle over there to get in, and there's actually pretty good foot space and knee space. For a mid-sized truck, this is more than enough. You even get your own AC vents and a couple of built-in bottle holders. The base model doesn't get an armrest, but this one does. It's soft and padded, and you've got a couple skinny bottle holders. When you take the roof off, just know you're gonna have this big middle pillar right here, but it does have a speaker and some LED lighting. And headroom in here is also really good. I mean, right up above me, like I said, I'm 5'9". I don't have any problems. You could probably be 6 foot and still fit back here pretty comfortably. Now, as we hop inside, I want you to know, first of all, this doesn't have the smart key system on here. It's just a regular key fob, but you still get remote start, and it even still gives you a push button start as well. So foot on the brake, push button start. Got the V6 startup. And then quickly over on the doors, these are nice, small, lightweight doors, so they're easy to take off. You don't have built-in storage, but you have this net to make it ideal with that. Padded storage here. No padded storage up here, probably to save some weight. All the light controls are easy to access on the inside. This is a leather-wrapped steering wheel, although it's not the heated version. You can get a heated version, and you got easy differentiation between regular cruise and adaptive cruise with your audio controls on the back of the steering wheel. Jeep gives us these classic-looking gauges, so these are definitely a little retro-looking. You've got analog tach, analog speedometer, and then a digital display in the middle. And this display actually gives you quite a bit of information. The vehicle info especially can be scrolled through to see quite a bit through here. As you can see, even some off-road information for your drivetrain and even your angles for your pitch and roll. That's nice to know, especially when you're out cruising around. Trip computer information as well. And then you got some customizable settings you can do on here too. One thing that I really like is extra little knick-knack storage. So there's a little soft storage area up here that is like rubber lined so things won't rattle around and move around. And then we've got just a basic display here. This looks just like it does in the Wrangler, a nice upright utilitarian style dash, big round air vents, big knobs and buttons in here as well. Displays will range anywhere from 5 to 7 inch, which we have right here, up to 8.4 inch screens as an option. So this is the Uconnect system. It works fine when it's responsive. It is a little bit touchscreen heavy. You don't have any like physical buttons around here to do just like go to a certain task or anything like that, but it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, even though it shrinks it down quite a bit in this screen and makes it pretty small. On this one, you just got a basic backup camera with dynamic guidance lines, but the nice thing about that is you do have the hitch line right in the middle. Then you can tap the screen and zoom in right below your bumper here too. Just below that, we've got regular zone climate control or dual zone climate control. It is automatic, which is a nice touch. You've got these rubber knobs around here, and these are some big knobs, big buttons. I really appreciate that. You can even turn off your auto stop start right there. Then you've got your off-road cruise control, which is like your trail control or whatever you want to call it. Just down from there is where you've got your window switches. Obviously they can't be on the door because they disconnect. 12-volt power outlet, 2 USB ports and an auxiliary port. Then our 4-wheel drive control right here. I told you, or well, I haven't told you yet actually. We do have 3 different types of 4-wheel drive systems. This one has the available full-time 4-wheel drive. Otherwise, there's a couple others that I'll talk about in a second. But I love having the 4-wheel drive automatic separate from the regular 4 high and 4 low. And then your regular shifter. This is the automatic. You can get a manual transmission, but I like the Jeep icon on there. Moving back, you even get an actual hand brake. So you got a physical brake right here. I love this over regular electronic parking brakes, especially in an off-road vehicle. Below that, there's even a little soft pad if you want to store a key or something right there. Rubber lined bottle holders to keep everything gripped in here nice and tight. That's important. If you're off-roading, you don't want your crap rolling around or bottles falling out. The armrest is stationary here. It doesn't slide forward and backwards like some vehicles, but it is soft and padded, and it's in a pretty good spot. It is 2-tiered, as you'd expect. One spot there, open the rest up here, and then right there is actually our Torx kit from Jeep. So they give you the tools you need to be able to take your doors off. Your passenger even gets a big grab handle right here. So this is also nice. I mean, Jeep made this solid, so someone can really hang on if they want when you're off-roading. You also have a lock-in glove box right there, even though it's pretty darn tiny because this whole cabin is pretty small. There's a speaker right next to that. A regular flipping mirror is standard here. You can get an optional automatic dimming mirror, but we do still actually have garage controls on here with our visors. And the visor does slide out and has really good range. That's good to see. And taking everything off is super simple up overhead, especially with these front panels. You've got 3 different levers like this, a 4th one to pop it off, and boom, it just comes straight off. Now under the hood here, there are 2 different options, and a manual transmission actually comes standard. So that's something most vehicles can't say nowadays. So let me show you. First of all, to get under here, you have these hood clamps. So these are pretty retro. That is pretty cool. But under here is the standard 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, 285 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque, and it has the optional 8-speed transmission, and this gets around 22 miles per gallon highway and 19 combined. However, you do have a 3-liter V6 diesel available that can give you 442 pound-feet of torque. You cannot get the manual with the diesel though. Keep that in mind. And as far as towing can get up to about 7,600 pounds, but it really depends on the trim and the configuration. Look in the description below for a little link to the towing chart from Jeep. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get going on this Jeep Gladiator test drive. And first impressions is that yes, it feels like a Jeep and it feels like a tank. So I want to give you a good point of view reference behind the wheel here, and a little quick acceleration here, partial pedal. It gives you pretty good power output and pretty quickly. If you want something really torquey, you can get a diesel if you want. There's no gas turbo though, so if you want that kind of pep and that kind of torque with the gas engine, you're not going to be able to get it. Keep that in mind. But I like the way this drives. I like the way it feels. And at low speeds, it really does feel like a little tank. I mean, you've got these big knobby tires on here. You've got this upright commanding view, and it's just like you're in charge of the road. Now, obviously, the steering is going to be less than ideal. It's not going to handle as well. It's not going to drive as well as other vehicles for the most part. If you want something that's got a bed on it that drives like a car, you got to go for the Hyundai or the Honda. Otherwise, the ride comfort in here is really not that bad. And compared to the Jeep Wrangler, we've got a longer wheelbase, so that alone is going to give this better ride comfort. And I've been able to tell. I mean, I've been fairly comfortable in here, comfortable enough without too much complaints from my wife too, so that's a big bonus. But one of the big things compared to other mid-sized trucks is you're going to get a lot of road noise and wind noise. It really isn't actually that loud in here, but there's a lot of noticeable noise that comes through. So that's going to be one of the biggest things. But if you want to take the top off, if you want to take the doors off, if you want to have that kind of convertible lifestyle that you get with the Wranglers, you can get that in here. Let me go ahead and give you a pedal down. Slow down a little bit, full throttle. And that was pretty quick to drop down and give you some power. It's not a burner, but for this kind of power plant, I'll take it. It's not too bad, the 3.6 liter V6. The turning radius in here actually isn't that terrible either. I haven't really had that much trouble with it. There's no rubbing with these wheels. They're just 32-inch wheels, but still, it's actually fairly nimble. It's not going to be as nimble as the Jeep, especially out on the trail, considering it's pretty long. But for the most part, it's peppy enough. It's got decent ride comfort. The transmission has been all right. It hasn't been quite as clunky as it was in the Ram I was recently in. And I would say day-to-day driving, like ergonomics wise, I mean, I like how the screen is integrated, but it's still elevated. You've got a digital display and 2 analog displays. It's a little crammed in here, and this hard plastic piece is just right next to you, you know, so it's a little tight feeling. Something to keep in mind if that's important to you or not. But I like how you actually have a big physical lever for the 4-wheel drive control, so you can still get a manual transmission in here as well. And sight lines straight out I think are pretty good. You've got a good sized window here, and it's just enjoyable to drive this. It's just a different experience than it is driving a more comfortable car-like type of mid-sized truck. And I found that the most comfortable place to drive this, and maybe it's the wheels, maybe it's the suspension setup, but is on gravel. I mean, little washboards and ruts and bumps are barely noticeable in this. It just feels so comfortable, so compliant, that it just feels like it's at home when you get this thing off the pavement. And that's got to be expected with this type of vehicle. It's the same way with the Jeep Wrangler too. You can get this outfitted with bigger tires. You can get it outfitted with a nice rear locker if you want as well, but you still have the automatic 4-wheel drive system down here if you need to go between dry and slick road situations. But comfort wise, everything is just nice in here, even though it's not going to drive as nice as some vehicles, so keep that in mind. It's definitely a niche vehicle. Depends how you want it to drive. So to wrap things up on this Jeep Gladiator, I love that you still have the lifestyle aspect of a Jeep Wrangler. You can take the doors off, you can take the roof off, you can get different options for that. You still have a lot of the same amenities inside and a ton of different features, but you also have the truck capability and towing capability that you get with this vehicle, more so than the Wrangler, and the ride comfort is even better. So it's really an awesome niche type of vehicle. There's a lot that it offers. It's for a certain type of buyer. Compared to other mid-sizers, it's just a completely different type of vehicle and a different type of truck, but it's pretty sweet. Let me know down below what you think of this Jeep Gladiator. Would you take this over a Wrangler, or would you even take this over other mid-sized trucks? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, a thumbs up would be super helpful. Subscribe if you want to see more. Have a great day.